Jon Sopel, welcome to MEE Live. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Jon, let's start with this doctored Trump speech on BBC Panorama.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
A resigning issue, what do you reckon?
Well, I think it was stupid, inane, immature, juvenile, unnecessary, foolish, idiotic. It was wrong. Not because it materially misled. As you, in your introduction, said, the January the 6th Commission of Inquiry found that Donald Trump had kind of fermented this discontent that led to the storming of the Capitol on January the 6th. More than that, if you listen to the witness statements given by people who were up in court for their part in January the 6th, they said they were doing it because they thought that is what Donald Trump wanted them to do. They'd listened to his words. They saw the tweet on December the 18th, which said, "Come to Washington, it's going to be wild." They'd listened to all his statements about how the election had been stolen from him. And accordingly, they went in and they rioted and they fought with police. Donald Trump would love to rewrite that bit of history. So the BBC is not wrong in what Donald Trump did. It just completely overcooked it unnecessarily when you could have just had the clip of him saying, we've got to fight like hell, and you've got Donald Trump saying it. You replay the tweet from December the 18th, 19th, when he tweeted it out that it was going to be wild. It was completely unnecessary, has opened up a can of worms, and the BBC failing to respond to the Telegraph story for a week, into which time Donald Trump filled a vacuum, was moronic. It was just, the comms department should frankly be taken out and decapitated for what they did, because it was so idiotic.
The BBC has clearly made a series of damaging decisions here, but isn't it quite backwards that the BBC should be apologising to Trump over the narrative of this day? Donald Trump still says that this election was rigged, and they're gleeful. The White House is gleeful over this. Trump promised a revenge against news outlets. He's taken on CNN, also Meta and YouTube for suspending his accounts at that time. How damaging is this episode if the BBC is basically capitulating to Trump about narratives of that day?
Look, the BBC is possibly one of the most trusted global news brands. And what Trump has been able to do is that the intimidation that he has sown in newsrooms in America, with this, has gone global. It's Donald Trump's global war, and there are a lot of fellow travellers who would also like to see the BBC and independent news organisations intimidated. So on the one hand, you have Donald Trump accusing the BBC of fake news. You have various politicians in Britain who want to seize and leap on this bandwagon. And you also have the Russian embassy in London this morning tweeting out saying the BBC has lost its way and it doesn't know what journalistic ethics are. Well, hold on a minute. Are we looking to Moscow as the example of journalistic freedom, of holding power to account? You must be joking. There are people in power, in politics, who would like to see a free press not holding them to account. And you've got to see it in this light. And that's why the BBC's mistakes over this are so catastrophic and so damaging for the reputation of the corporation. And, it looks to me like there is almost a civil war breaking out within the BBC. There was a staff meeting that took place today between Samir Shah, the chairman, and Tim Davie, the director general. And it was a staff call. And, I've had a readout of what happened. It sounds like it was pretty catastrophic and pretty sulphurous in terms of the mood.
You rightly pointed out Trump's wider war on the media. Let's just take a look at what you're talking about.
I am your warrior. I am your justice. And for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution. I am your retribution.
The Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, and MSDNC, and the fake news CNN, and ABC, CBS, and NBC, and they'll write whatever they say. It's totally illegal what they do. I just hope you can all watch for it, but it's totally illegal.
Between you people, don't talk to me that way. You're just a lightweight. Don't talk to me that way. Don't talk to. I'm the president of the United States. Don't ever talk to the president that way.
Go ahead. Sure. She's shocked that I picked her.
No.
She's like in a state of shock.
I'm not thinking, Mr.
That's
President.
okay. I know you're not thinking. You never do.
I'm sorry?
No, go ahead.
Give us a question.
Don't be.
Can you give us a question?
I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
As you witness who are scared right now, what do you say to Americans who are watching you right now who are scared?
I say that you're a terrible reporter. That's what I say. Go ahead.
Since
Why don't you act in a little more positive? It's always trying to
My
get
question to you is-
get you. And you know what? That's why nobody trusts the media anymore.
CNN is scum, and so is MSDNC. They're all, and frankly, the networks aren't much better. It's all fake news, but they should not have done that.
And I want you all to know that we are fighting the fake news. It's fake, phony, fake.
A few days ago, I called the fake news the enemy of the people, and they are. They are the enemy of the people.
Here is a president who has repeatedly tried to whip the media in his own country into shape. Are you seriously saying that those tactics could be used against foreign media, indeed against British media?
Why not? I mean, look, you could have played a clip of Donald Trump going after me at a presidential news conference.
We should have.
He said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "BBC News." And he said, "Another beauty." And I said, "Well, we're impartial, free and fair." And he goes, "Yeah, sure, like CNN." That is what he does. It was very interesting. There's a woman called Leslie Stoll who works for 60 Minutes in America. And she reported a conversation that she had with Donald Trump where she said to him, "Look, why do you keep going on about this fake news thing? Can't you leave it alone? You've won the election, let it go." This was in the first term. And he said, "The reason I do it is I want the people to think whenever I call them fake news that you're lying, and that when you are, say, critical things about me, you're lying, and that they will believe me rather than you. Don't think there isn't strategy behind what Donald Trump is trying to do. He is trying to, look, politicians down the ages have tried to kind of wanted to get rid of the intermediary, the media, that is between them and their audience. And Donald Trump, through his absolutely brilliant use of social media and bullying techniques and intimidation, is doing a pretty good job on that. And so there is strategy in what he is doing. And when I was in Washington DC as the BBC's North America editor, our watchwords were be very careful and then be very bold in the journalism that you do. And so on day one of Donald Trump's first term, his press secretary came into the briefing room at the White House and said to us, the crowd from Donald Trump's inauguration was the biggest in US history. And I reported that, and I wanted to add the second sentence, but it's not true. And we had to check and verify thoroughly that the crowd for Barack Obama's first inauguration in 2009 was bigger than Donald Trump's. It was. And so we said, it's not true. But we had checked our facts first. Panorama was bold, but without being careful. And that has got the BBC into the horrible mess that it's in right now.
And what do you think will come of that mess? I mean, this threat of $1 billion lawsuit against BBC, essentially against the British taxpayer, right? Does it have legs? Where will it go? What is the strategy?
Well, you kind of indicated it in your introduction, which is that there was no misleading of the American people, and it wasn't untrue. It was overcooked. But it wasn't untrue. Donald Trump, as the Commission of Inquiry found, as all those witnesses who were before the court found, they were saying it was because of Donald Trump that we did this on January the 6th. So I hope that the BBC stands firm, discovers a backbone, and fights this, because at the moment it seems utterly vexatious. And also, if you look at American law, it is much more difficult to win a libel action in America because of the First Amendment than it is in the UK. And so I hope that the BBC see off the threat, apologise for what I described at the start of our interview as the appalling editing of that segment of the Panorama programme, say that was wrong, but don't think that you misled the public about the role that Donald Trump played on January the 6th. It's part of a history that he is trying to rewrite to make it all seem like it was just a bunch of cheerful, peaceable, democratic-loving supporters of Donald Trump who peacefully went to the Capitol to say that the election was stolen. The election wasn't stolen. Donald Trump won fairly and squarely in 2016. He lost in 2020. He won in 2024. Get over it.
And actually, if the BBC does see off this lawsuit, they could yet be vindicated. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, absolutely. And I think that I'm sure that the legal advice will be, if you fight this, there's a chance, there's every chance you'll win it.
Great.
And, Donald Trump threatens a lot of litigation. I mean, there are a lot of threats of litigation that just go nowhere. He's issued a $10 billion lawsuit against the Wall Street Journal on pretty thin grounds over saying that a document they produced was fake when they produced the document and it looks pretty damn real. So, I just hope the BBC isn't intimidated, even though as an organisation, it is reeling right now.
Jon Sopel, thank you so much for your view.